Hi everybody, it's me again. I got some important news for you. I finished 6 months with CRETE and I've crunched all the numbers. I got some facts and figures for you. So hit the subscribe button. Welcome back to the Joy of Trucking. My name is Kevin. I'm a solo driver for CRETE Carrier. I gotta tell you all this information here. I've been sitting here crunching numbers and whittling my fingers down to the bone so you can get all this information here. This is important stuff. Now, just the background, I got my CDL beginning of March 2021. I drove for Werner for a year, and I came over to CRETE in April of 2022. So I counted 26 weeks and, you know, every paycheck for those 26 weeks, and then divided everything up so that we can figure out if this was a good move coming to CRETE and how things have turned out. First of all, I drove 65,250 miles in those 6 months. And I got paid for 63,700 miles. So there's like 1,500 miles there unaccounted for, which to me is understandable and not such a bad thing. You know, you might have been going home, you know, taking the truck, going to home time. You might have been personal conveyance, running to the mall or something. You might have gone off route. Like if they give you, you know, from destination A to B, and they want you to go this way, and you maybe take a detour or a shortcut or whatever. There's a little bit of variation there, but 1,500 miles is not a big difference. The year I drove for Werner, because they pay the zip code miles, I drove like 132,000 miles in that year, but I didn't get paid for all of them. I drove about 10% of the time for free, which really irks me. So that's enough said about that. I got paid for 63,700 miles with CRETE for 6 months. My average weekly miles, therefore, is about 2,500 miles. Now, we shoot for about 3,000 a week, but you got to realize I go 21 days, and then I get a little bit of home time. And if I go 24 days, I actually get an extra day of home time. So that fourth week in the month, I'm always going to be short on miles. So that brings the whole average down, right? But on the good weeks in between, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing like around 3,000 miles a week. Actually, out of those 26 weeks, 17 weeks, I was over 2,500 miles. And I even had 2 loads that were over 2,000 miles. I had 18 loads that were over 1,000 miles. I did have some shag runs, which with CRETE is under 200 miles, and then they give you some extra pay for that. Only 8 loads were shag runs in those 6 months. And then you got these T calls, which with Werner they call it a split. So with Werner, they give you a nice juicy, you know, like, hey, let's go 1,000 miles across the country, and you know, you're like, great, I'm gonna be driving some power miles here, and you plan it all out, and you get your snacks ready, and you're just gonna drive and drive. And then a couple hours later, you get a message saying, oh, pull over at this drop yard in the next city and leave it there. Somebody else is gonna keep going with it, and you know, you can do something else. And you're like, what? You know, so you were getting splits like a couple of times a week with Werner. They were doing it a lot, and I still don't understand why. I don't see how that was helping their business at all. With CRETE, it's only happened 5 times. Now I've done 88 loads in those 6 months, so 5 of them were split. I wanted them split. I would call up the manager and say, hey, I'm trying to get to my home time, you know, and it's in this city, and you know, now he's giving me a load that goes here, so he says just drop it here and then bobtail to your home time, or you know, head to your home terminal. Somebody else will finish that run, but it's not very often. Sometimes I've shown up way too early for a delivery, and the customer's not going to take it. So rather than have me sit around for 20 hours, he'll say, you know, take it to the drop yard. Somebody else will deliver it for you tomorrow, and it'll still get there on time. 5 times is not bad, and it's always to my advantage. It's not because, you know, they want you to drop a load and don't explain why and whatever. You know, it's not a bad thing. Now, out of those 88 loads I did in 6 months, 51 of them were live loads. Now, either a live load, or at the end of the run, a live unload. But 51 out of the 88 had a live, and there was a lot less with Werner. And I kind of thought there would be less with CRETE too, so I was kind of surprised that there's so many. Some of them are even live at the beginning and the end, you know, like, so 51 of them had, somehow you had to bump a dock and wait. But it hasn't been as bad as I expected. I mean, there's not usually a lot of lost time with these live loads. if you got an appointment and it's pretty far out, then maybe you gotta waste some time waiting for that. But when you hit that dock, they're usually pretty quick about it. I've had a live unload as quick as 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes. I was out of there. I actually had to sit another 5 minutes so that I'd get my 30-minute break in there and restart the 8-hour clock. It was that quick. And average for a live load or live unload is an hour, not usually more than 2. But if it is more than 2, you get detention pay. So CRETE's pretty good about that too. As long as you are on time for your appointment and you sent the notice, like I've been here 2 hours, and then you fill out a form and send that in with your paperwork, you get detention pay. So even though there's a lot of lives, it hasn't really been a bad thing. I think there's only been a couple of times where it went, to 4 hours or something like that, and there was extenuating circumstances. The gross, okay, here's the big number you're all looking for, right? My gross pay for 6 months, 26 weeks, $43,041.
But wait, there's more.
And in the whole year I drove for Werner, my gross was $55,000. So that right there tells you there's a big difference. If you think about it, if things keep going the way they are, my gross would be like $86,000. I got my CDL last year, okay? So I'm in my second year of driving and I'm looking at some pretty good money. I mean, you can't do that everywhere, right? Weekly average gross, $1,655. Now they also have the referral bonus. We're actually doing pretty good with that. So what happens is if I get a driver to come over to CRETE and he uses my referral code, which is SLOKEV, SLOKEV, all in capital letters, then when he finishes orientation, they send us $500. And then he starts driving. So then we get cents per mile that the new driver drives. So before the end of September, that was 3 cents a mile, which is pretty good. At the end of September, though, they cut that back to 1 cent per mile. That's only for their first 12 months that you get those cents per mile that they're driving. There's a freaking train going by us. So we only actually started getting that referral bonus money in July. It wasn't even like the first couple of months. It took a while before that actually caught on and started working. So it was like one driver here, a couple there, blah blah blah. So at the end of the 6 months, I think we'd gotten like 6 or 7 of the $500 bonuses. And on my last check at the end of the 6 months, I think we had 5 mileage bonuses for 5 drivers. So not all of them stuck around after orientation, but the thing is, that came to, so far, that's come to $6,081. We really want to thank those drivers for using that code so that we get that referral bonus. We really appreciate it. $6,081 on top of the gross that I had, that I earned, that comes to $49,122. So if you think about that, if that keeps going the way it is, that's almost $100,000 in my second year as a truck driver. It's unbelievable. Now there are some things that will be different, like the surge pay we had up until the end of September was an extra 2 cents a mile. That was for all the extra work we were doing because of COVID and all that. That's gone. So from 64 cents now to 62 cents a mile. My God, it's an earthquake. That guy's really hauling ass, eh? That thing's moving fast in a confined area like this. And there's a guy hanging on the back of the train. You know why? There's probably train robbers in the neighborhood who's trying to escape. Or maybe it's the graffiti kids.
We try to keep it real and exciting for you here.
Wow. Okay, so
back to business.
So the surge pay is gone. There's 2 cents a mile less since the end of September. But there's also the referral bonuses. That's going to keep coming in. And that, like I said, that only started in July. The first few weeks when I started, the end of April, beginning of May, it was a little bit of a slow start. So the next 6 months, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we'll top 100K. I don't know, but we'll see. There'll be another review. Keep your eyes open. Now, there are other factors that are going to come up in the coming year as well. There's a productivity bonus that's every quarter, as long as you make 30,000 miles and no safety infractions. They pay you some more money every 3 months for that. So we're gonna be looking for that. And after a year, you're into the profit sharing program. So there's gonna be some more money with that too. I'm gonna do another video coming up real soon with another 6-month review, but this will be some important things that I've learned, some differences that I've seen between CRETE and Werner, some conclusions that I have, and it's worth watching. There's stuff that you're gonna want to know from that. All right, so let's wrap it up. All right, 63,700 paid miles in 6 months, 26 weeks, and averaging 2,500 a week. But like I said, 3 weeks going full out, and then the next week a lot of home time, pulling the average down. Gross altogether, $49,122. 6,000 of that in referral bonuses. Possibly quarterly bonuses coming up and profit sharing. Who knows what the next 6 months will bring? Let's stay tuned and find out. Don't forget to watch The Joy of Trucking. So give me a thumbs up, comments down below, and hit the subscribe button. All right, bye for now.